we have Mr. Miley and Ms. Goldsby come on up. We are the Hayward Area Democratic Club. Let's see, our treasurer is raise your hand, James. And our membership chair, Jenny over there. Mark and Harry are up in front. Our vice president is Frank. Raise your hand, Frank. So let's see, who am I forgetting? Oh, that's it. And I'm the president. Okay. All right, let's see. So, again, we have 2-minute opening comments. We started with a woman last time, so we'll start with the male this time. And then 3 questions, and then we'll have 1-minute closing. You're on.
Thank you.
Man.
Thank you. So good afternoon, Hayward Demos. It's great to be here. I was here 3 weeks ago for the other endorsement meeting. So, I'm running for re-election to the County Board of Supervisors. Had a history of serving this area, not the city of Hayward, but the unincorporated area for many years. And I'm still very passionate about public service, delivering service to my constituents. And that's one of the major reasons I'm continuing to run, to deliver access and quality services to the constituents I represent in District 4. But also, some other priorities like homelessness and housing. That's a top priority in our county. A number of you know I have a lot of passion for senior citizens, older adults, so continue to work on issues that affect the quality of life of seniors throughout this county. Also working to ensure that small, local, emerging businesses like the cannabis industry get a fair shake, get a foothold, and are able to thrive with this product being a legal product, but all in any small, local, emerging businesses. Working to ensure opportunities for minorities and ensuring that there's a living wage for everyone in this county. So I have the support of the Central Committee, the Democratic Central Committee, the Labor Council, Building and Trades, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, a number of elected officials, most, if not all, of the Democratic clubs. So I would really welcome the Hayward Demos supporting my re-election to the Board of Supervisors once again, as you've supported me in the past. Thank you so very much.
He's done,
Yes.
but go.
Yes. She's waiting for you.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just waiting for a start.
Hello, my name is Esther Goldsby. It is my pleasure to be here. I want to tell a little bit about myself. So I'm an Oaklander. I have been at the same place since I was 16 years old. That is downwind from a foundry that has been there for 113 years, spewing out pollution and toxic on our communities. We have children. We have 2 elementary there, downwind, less than a mile, and them 2 having to deal with the generations of living in pollution. I am running because it is time for a change from the last 20 years, the accountability of all of the supervisors. I am running for the communities to actually receive the justice and all for their health, for their livelihood, for the youth, not to constantly be just fed into the pipeline, into jails. I am running for actual environmental change and justice. We don't have 4 more years to just give away. We actually have 25 days into this election on March 3rd. It is a choice that you can change. It's a choice that you can make. I may not always be eloquent when I speak. My passion is inside, and it comes out hard and deep. I am dedicated, I am committed to all of the areas of District 4 and all of Alameda County. Thank you.
Questions? Yes, sir. Go for it. Remember, just a question, not a preface.
In light of the number 1 priority being providing homes for the homeless, how do you see integrating quality of life issues such as protecting riparian areas into the overall plan?
Please.
Okay. Yes, we have a number of homeless encampments. We did actually abate one at the Groveway in Castro Valley. And we made sure that that abatement involved our Office of Homeless Care and coordination. We made sure that our CBO's abode was involved with that, along with the Caltrans, and working with First Presbyterian Church to ensure that folks had a place to go. Because living on riparian corridor near a creek isn't humane. It's not humane for the homeless, nor is it humane for those who are sheltered. So we need to make sure that we find appropriate shelter and housing and services for those that are homeless. And the homeless, there's those that are working that are homeless. We've got those that are homeless because they have mental illness or dual diagnosis with drugs. And we've got people who are homeless because it's a way of life. Not many of them choose that, but there are some that way. So in order to ensure that we move homeless off of riparian corridors, we need to make sure we have places to take them.
So again, we have the last 20 years, I know my communities did not look like they do now. I know the streets that I drive down did not look like this 20 years ago. It's a difference between the words that we use and the experience that we know. I cannot say it enough, we don't have another 4 years just to give it away, just to be comfortable in the vote. It is people, it is humans living on the streets in this cold. They don't have anywhere to go. When the wildfires hit, who was there trying to give them masks? Who was there trying to help them and get them housed or indoor so they could try to breathe some type of healthy air? The Air District did not. The organization that I worked for did.
Thank you. Question? Yes, sir.
What do you want to see in the 2021 redistricting of the Alameda County supervisorial boundaries?
I'm so glad that that was asked. So for those that know, and I'm going to say it probably every question that I answer, I don't have the pleasure of saying the last 20 years. I know exactly about this district, about these communities. I will have the next 4 years to learn these. How I'm going to learn it? From the community. How they want a district, everybody is not going to be comfortable with it. But I want to hear from them. I want to hear from every last community member that wants to listen, for me to listen to them, their concerns, their wants, their needs, and it's a reason why. It is for their health. Everything that the supervisors should do is for people's health.
All right, so as you know, my district goes from Oakland to Pleasanton. It includes non-incorporated area. Non-incorporated area of the city would be the fourth largest city in the county. Only Oakland, Fremont, and Hayward would be larger. It cuts across 3 of the 4 parts of the county. So I'm kind of like the supervisor that has to deal with everybody's issues and all political persuasions and everything, and I think I do a good job of that. So in terms of redistricting, last time we redistricted is because there's a lot of growth out in East County. I suspect that there's been an equal amount of growth now in Oakland and some of the other areas. So we might not have to do too much tinkering with the boundaries. But I know some folks have actually talked to me about maybe there should just be a Tri-Valley district, a district that just represents the Tri-Valley. Last time we redistricted, I was president of the Board of Supervisors, so I gave up a little bit of my district for Supervisor Wilma Chan, and I also went east and took Pleasanton, and Supervisor Haggerty took Dublin. So there's benefits, but we'll be listening to folks and see what they'd like to have us do, and listening to all the stakeholders, which include the cities as well.
We'll go with Petra first and then Frank. Petra.
What have you done in your community then, so we can see what you've done so we can vote for you or not vote for you?
Yeah. So to be honest and transparent, in 2009, I got injured at my job where I worked in a pharmaceutical lab. I'm a licensed pharmacy technician. I had idle time. I was a young person in my community, was not always the person you see now. I started volunteering, and I have at least 20-something organizations that I gave my time to. The two were Active Nonverbal Youth Urban Farm Project and Communities for a Better Environment that I was a leader, a member for 8 years. 3, I was staff. And again, that's environmental justice. That means that redlining that happened in the history, the people that are Black, that are brown, that are poor, lives in the most polluted areas. I'm dedicated. I've been there. I have a lot, and I'm willing to talk to anybody. I'll tell you my whole life story. I talk a lot.
Well, I think many of you know I've represented the district for quite a while. I have an extensive track record. Before that, I was on the Oakland City Council. Track record there. Before that, I was a community organizer for the Oakland Community Organizations. I've done a lot of work, have a legacy of a lot of accomplishments. We're still working on illegal dumping, not just in Oakland, but throughout the region. You know, we're working, we just set up a municipal advisory council in the Eaton area. We got a Cherryland Community Center that's being built. It'll be opening this year along with the new Daughtry's Castro Valley Marketplace. We've got, you know, I work extensively with older adults as well. We go to a countless number of meetings to try to be engaged and understand the pulse of the community. You know, last time I worked on community choice, green energy, many of you know that. I mean, my track record speaks for itself, and I'll have my track record stand up against anyone in terms of what I've done both in Oakland, in the unincorporated area, in Pleasanton, trying to ensure that there's a quality of life and representing the needs of not just a segment of our society, but everybody.
Frank?
We, the voters of Alameda County, established an urban limit line with the proposition several years ago. And I understand that there's some move afoot to try to modify that and extend it so that we will have overdevelopment much more than we have right now. So I want to know what your positions are about that.
Yeah, so throughout my community work, I've been a part of a lot of different plans and studies and even ordinances, policies. One of the things that I know, I can say this every time also, is that in order to really know what's happening, how things should be developed, built, approved, you have to have a community that's going to be impacted. And so I have not read that. I've read some plans that are just outrageous. I would like to see exactly how the community feels about these also, because especially the years that they use doing these studies, doing these plans, the money that they use doing these studies, doing these plans, and then nothing gets implemented, we are not able to see it in our lifetime. So I will look into that, and hopefully I'll be able to speak to you to actually give you that final answer.
Well, Frank, I don't know who's trying to change the limit line. We're not trying, through Measure D, we're not trying to look at changing the limit line. What we're looking to do is try to preserve and enhance agriculture in the eastern part of the county. There are uses that are clearly ag that are not necessarily being treated appropriately so that they can thrive in the agricultural part of the county. So we're looking to possibly put a ballot measure on the ballot probably in 2022 that would allow a clear definition of what's ag, maybe following the state's definition of what's ag, and then also looking at potentially seeing if the floor area ratio can be tweaked so that ag, now we're just talking ag, we don't want to see development, we don't want to change the urban growth boundary lines, so we can encourage ag and enhance ag in the eastern part of the county. That's what we're attempting to do. So if there's somebody talking about changing the boundary, that's not me, and I'm not aware the Board of Supervisors is trying to do that either. And I think many of you know, graduated from law school, been working in the community for a long, long time. That's it.
Yes, would you make a comment about the function of the grand jury and perhaps one of the recommendations you would accept?
Yeah, well, the function of grand jury is it's another kind of check and balance. The grand jury appointed by the presiding judge, the grand jury, they don't have the force of law, but clearly they look into all of the jurisdictions, whether it's a school district, county, city, special districts, et cetera. And the grand jury recommendations I would support the grand jury recommendations because there are different ones that come out regarding the Board of Supervisors. And generally, we tend to go along with those recommendations, and if we don't support those recommendations, then we explain why we don't support those recommendations. And then sometimes, for instance, there's a recommendation on nepotism that the grand jury came back to the Board of Supervisors about. We didn't implement that recommendation because we have bargaining units, and the bargaining units were not necessarily comfortable with that recommendation. So, I mean, government, when I ran for city council, I spent 5 years preparing to run for city council. Then when I was a county supervisor, I had 10 years on the city council before I ran for Board of Supervisors. So I was quite qualified to take that position and take that office.
So I just want to use this time to try to answer that question in a different type of way. I'm just saying around accountability. There's no way that a police can police themselves, I feel. There's no way that people that actually want accountability, they don't get it. They don't get it in any type of way that they actually deserve. Checking on people's track records, checking on what has already been, no matter what words are spoke today, what are spoke right now, it is, again, your choice to either look into it as truthful, to look into it as being honest, just to look into it. Because anybody can get comfortable, anybody can say what they want to say. It's about what you want and are you actually getting it.
One last question. Well, let's see. Gee. Oh. Sylvia?
Is it possible for me to ask 2 questions?
No, just one and no preface, please. Straight for the question.
How do you feel about the excess of empty homes, Caltrans, et cetera, and the continuing proliferation and death of homeless people, unhoused people throughout Alameda County? We're in one of the highest times of inequality.
Okay, good. That's a question.
That's the question?
Yeah. Please.
Okay. It's criminal. It's inhumane. I have a lot of concern about that, and I've been talking to county staff and others about that for years. And we just opened up a office of homeless care and coordination. We've changed some of our strategies as well. We've approved tiny homes at First Presbyterian Church. We've opened up a warming center there as well. We're building a navigation center up at the Fairmont campus. So we want to, and also through my office, we've put together a plan on how we can work with encampments, since that's their community, to make these encampments safe and sanitary. Because in some of these encampments, there's criminal activity taking place, and no one should be subject to that. No one, quite frankly, should be living outdoors if there's other alternatives to that. Through our funding, we can also look at purchasing homes that we can dedicate to the homeless and dedicate to affordability. And we need to have housing across the spectrum, not just for the homeless, but across the spectrum.
So, as the judge has spoke earlier around the 4 mothers, the 4 black mothers and their children going into a home that was not theirs, but to be able to get shelter. Yeah, we can feel sad about the people that are out there. What is the root cause? How'd they get out there? In the last 20 years, have we seen as many people that we see in the streets as we do today? What is the cause? That's the question. Is the cause because where are our funds going? Is it supposed to be doing this? Are we supposed to be doing legal dumping, housing people, putting them in sheds where we put our tools? Where are the actions? How long does it actually take? We're blaming, we're always saying mental illness this, mental illness that. It's like, talk to these people. These are humans. How did they get there? What racist policies live now that allow them just to be out there?
Thank you. Any question? Julie? Go ahead. Yes. Last one. And, okay, so 2 more.
Well, I've heard some concerns recently about the conditions at Santa Rita jail and the high death rate of inmates there.
And the question is?
And the question is, what is your opinion and what can be done through through the Board of Supervisors?
So, having an incarcerated loved one myself, having incarceration be a part of my past, my present, and until we do something about it, it will be a part of our future also. If you can sit here and say that you don't want to actually please or answer the questions of the people, especially the ones that have lost their loved ones inside, if you're saying that you don't want to audit or to see what the problem is or to get those few bad apples that we say almost every time when we talk about any type of enforcement agency, do we really want to see change in any of these? Any part that the supervisors, that the city, that our federal government, that our state, any place that you actually want to see accountability or change, it's your choice when you vote.
Thank you.
You know, I've said it countlessly, I support an audit of the sheriff's department relative to the jail, because where there's smoke, there's fire. Now, the county's being sued, and out of the lawsuits are going to come some reforms. And some of that reform is going to require us to hire more deputies to be at the jail, as well as to hire more mental health personnel to be at the jail. Those two things for sure are going to happen. And I can't say more because, once again, it's in litigation. So, but the sheriff's department is more than just the jail. You know, it provides community capital policing here in the unincorporated area, which is cutting edge. And I think, we just opened up a food hub on Fairmont Drive. So the sheriff's department provides services to Peralta Community College as well as AC Transit. So the sheriff's department isn't just a total bad apple. I support constitutional policing. Many of you have heard me say that before in the past, 21st century policing out of the Obama administration. So it is a problem. It needs to be pursued, investigated, and taken care of.
And you have one last question.
My question is for you, Supervisor Miley. Would you elaborate on your comment about the program for illegal dumping? It's a big problem on my street, which is in Castro Valley.
Oh, sure. I'd definitely like to elaborate on that. It was brought to my attention that illegal dumping isn't just an issue that affects urban communities, for instance, Oakland. And so with the illegal dumping task force that I have, it's made up of Vallejo, Contra Costa County, City of Oakland, community-based organizations, faith-based organizations, business, et cetera. We are approaching illegal dumping through eradication, education, and enforcement. Eradication, if we just go out and pick up stuff, they're just going to come back and have a free service and dump some more. We can educate people, and that's important, but we need enforcement. The Sheriff's Department, that's another place where the Sheriff's Department has been working with me to enforce the laws, tow vehicles, make contacts. We've collected over 300 tons of garbage and debris that's been dumped in about an 8-month period in Oakland and our target area. I'm pulling together a statewide conference on illegal dumping so we can look at it through education, eradication, and enforcement. But we need that enforcement piece. Because just like we have enforcement out here so we drive and obey the traffic laws, if we didn't have enforcement, because we don't have enforcement, people think they can just dump with impunity, and that dog don't hunt.
It doesn't look like that in East Oakland. And then using the same polluters that pollute our environment, ABNI, Argent Materials, and Aaron Meadows that are spewing out toxins, using them to help pick up the trash. Consumerism, one, is the problem of illegal dumping. Yes, education, greed, not having the fees, not the accessibility. We should be able, one, to put our trash on the curb if we have trash. We have excess trash, we should be able to put that out also. We have policies that are set up for exactly what is happening right now. It is definitely time for a different voice, a different energy. Yes, it's 4 other supervisors that will be in there. We all should be able to work together, right? Isn't that what we say? Isn't that what we believe? How can it just be the same? Again, it's your choice when you vote.
Good questions. They have 1 minute for a closing statement, please.
Well, once again, I really would appreciate the endorsement of the Hayward Demos, as you endorsed me in the past, running once again for re-election. Still have a strong passion for public service. And I started my public service as a Jesuit volunteer working with the Jesuits in Oakland, doing community organizing. I've done that all over the country. Spent 10 years on the Oakland City Council, been a county supervisor. I have an extensive track record of a lot of things I've done. If I could wave a magic wand and have all of the homeless problem be resolved, I'd do that, but I think it's a complex issue that's affecting the entire state. That's why the governor was in a press conference with the governor a couple weeks ago, where he's bringing down FEMA trailers and providing them throughout the state to help get people housed. But, and the county's putting in a serious amount of money into trying to address the problem of homelessness. So these issues, they come up, and it's our responsibility to try to resolve them and try to resolve them in a responsible manner and a collective manner. So I would really value, once again, the support of the Hayward Demos. My district's very complex, the county's very complex, $3.6 billion budget, and I thrive and welcome the opportunity to continue to serve all of you. So thank you.
We have 25 days until March 3rd. We have a long 4 years ahead of us. Again, if there's actually gonna be some change, it needs to happen. The state of our environment, the state of our climate, the state of our state is in crisis mode. Again, words versus action, passion, commitment, dedication. We could work together. Anybody and everybody. I understand endorsements. I tell you right now, I have the community endorsement. If you're a part of the community, I just want to say thank you. I look forward to being your new supervisor. And farewell.